a lot of this is coming down to framing for me. And it's not that I'm trying to let myself off the hook or hold myself accountable for what I thought I was going to do. I'm trying to look at this more as how can I continue to work through and make forward movement without throwing in the towel on everything that I've already done and worked through. Because we talk so much about how we learn through tension.
Yeah.
We learn when things are uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely uncomfortable.
Welcome back to In Residence. I'm Keith.
And I'm Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Keith.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing swell. What are we getting into?
Okay, so this week we are going to revisit our goals, intentions, words from the beginning of the year because it's the midpoint check-in, right?
Yeah.
We're halfway there. July 1st has come. So it's a good time to check in.
Yeah. It's already.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're already closer to the end of the year.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous to check in.
Yeah. I remember my main theme, but other than that, it's like, I'm sure it's just the same old stuff of like health goals and this and that. So,
yeah.
All right. Where do you want to start?
Okay. So let's start with because I think we both set a word, right? What was your word?
Measured ambition.
Okay. So tell me about that.
Okay. So trying to not get too up or too down.
Okay.
I tend to lay back and wait versus going for it and seeing what will happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like we've talked about, trying to get more of the mindset of somebody that experiments and tests. And so that's what I think of as like a good way to feed my ambition, because like we talked about before, it feels kind of like a dirty word to me a little bit. I usually pair it with somebody that's maybe not caring or generous.
Okay.
It's like kind of like feels selfish to me, right? And so I want to, but that's not real, right? But that's just how I feel, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a place for me to hide, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so I want to be more ambitious in different areas of my life. And at the same time, I want to be measured because I don't want to go all in over here, like say with work or whatever, and, ignore or, kind of fall asleep on the job when it comes to like our kids or our relationship, or my health, So, I mean, and that's the main thing that just continues to come up when I think of trying to be measured as I go about like reaching different goals. Is the hard part is trying to reach all the goals and not getting down when I'm not.
Yeah.
So
how has that shown up this year for you?
I feel like I'm in the middle of switching from focusing mostly on like our family and our kids.
Okay.
Because, summer break is in full swing.
Sure.
But so for most of the spring though, it was school, it was tennis, it was making sure you and I were checking in and, having family time when we were getting together on the weekends, or if, there was like a long weekend or something, right? Like putting my energy into the relationships and like, and friendships too, at the beginning of this year, playing D&D with a group of friends and stuff,
that's right.
So like getting energy from those things and not letting that get ruined by thinking, oh, but I'm putting my energy there and I'm not putting it into projects. I'm not, stuff like that. Yeah. So now I feel like I'm swinging towards since school is on break and the kids have a little more freedom, that means that I don't have to be on as much. And of course they can be doing whatever they want because they deserve a break. For me, it's a little different. Whereas like this means that I can like turn it on for like, what projects do I want to be working on, or what do I want to accomplish? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was your word or theme for the year?
So my word was transform. And I was really getting inspiration from the Billie Jean King quote, pressure is a privilege and champions adjust. And so I had some pretty significant wellness goals is how I'll frame it. And I was thinking by this point in the year, I'd be about 40% of the way there.
Mm-hmm.
I knew 50% might be too lofty, but I thought 40%.
Too ambitious.
Too ambitious. But I thought, if I really want to transform, I don't want to just do things super, super quick. I want them to stick and create routines and all those things. And so I thought I'd be about 40% of the way towards the wellness goal I had set. I am about 15% of the way there, which is part of the reason why it feels weird talking about it today. But as I was reflecting on today, thinking about the word transform, it hasn't meant what I thought it was going to mean at the beginning of the year. Like I thought transform was going to be a couple tweaks to my routine. I was going to be lifting. I was going to be doing all these things. And what transform has actually meant is that I'm learning how to show up when life kind of throws you a curveball and be more resilient and figure out what does this wellness journey look like with a new set of circumstances related to my hip. So, yeah. So it's turned from that.
Yeah, like what what does it really look like in real life versus my idealized my agenda that I wrote down. Well, it was supposed to go like this.
I know. Well, I thought, I'm going to go from point A to point B, straight line.
Yeah.
Is what I was thinking. I'm like, I know how to do this. I've done this before. It's going to be fine. And then when I couldn't move without pain, when I couldn't lift heavy without pain, I really had to think differently about how I was going to go about it. So I've been doing more learning and adjusting and transforming the routine I thought I was going to build than I thought was possible in December and January. So even though I was a little embarrassed to come on here today, 6 months in, and say I'm about 15% of the way there instead of the 40 I had thought I was going to be at by this point, is a little embarrassing, but I also think it's relatable. And so I thought it would be good to show up and talk about that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think I feel part of that too when it comes to how far along you and I wanted, this in residence thing to be, some of the other projects that we're ideating about and thinking about and like creating, a community and stuff. Like we both thought it would be further. And so part of me is, some of the things that you brought up, like questions to ask, like, what's giving me energy, right? Like, and what's draining my energy. It's easy to say, spending time with family, like really gave me lots of energy, like reconnecting with friends and, playing Dungeons and Dragons and doing these things. And then the opposite side is like, well, since I was feeding those parts of me, this other, project part, like it was kind of laying a little dormant, or I was kind of like letting it kind of like not get attended to quite as much. And it kind of feels a little bit like a failure.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's more of like, well, that's kind of what life is you can't give all of your attention to everything all the time, and so, the consistency and like the resilience that you brought up and that's something I'm really learned from watching tennis and especially watching our kid play and people on his team and like learning about that game and how it is a resilience builder because you have to be resilient. And I'm like, it's just for me, it's a good metaphor for life is like, you're not going to be the champion all the time.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you don't stop competing. And even when you have like, it's not even a bad beat, right? Like we've seen like, well, it's like, ooh, that was, if it had just moved an inch this way, it would have gone the other way. It's more of like, oh, that was a winner and there was nothing I could do because that person did their best. I was doing my best, but there's like, I can't travel 15 feet, to get that ball, that's how I feel where I don't want to feel like it's a failure when it's like, well, there's nothing you could have done. But what I really want to lean into is what are the things I can do and be okay with not hiding behind not doing enough. That measured ambition isn't something I want to hide from. It's something I want to be able to be consistent with. kind of said that felt a little embarrassed and like not happy with your progress.
Mm-hmm.
You have some other areas in which you saw like you gained energy, kind of like you asked me.
Well, I had to dig a little deep for this, but it did actually come once I'm like, oh, yeah, I have been doing that more and more. I've been playing in an uncomfortable way with my morning routine. I know I've talked a lot, like I've kind of had that locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing movement out of that, moving movement back into it, reading instead of it all being in the morning, doing more intentional evenings, things like that. And it has created an opportunity for me to play a little bit and try and figure out like what works for me. And one thing that has brought me energy that I don't think I would have anticipated is I've been playing piano a lot more. And I've been singing actually, probably to the, I don't know, our neighbors are probably like, what is she doing? Right? Like, what is happening? But I've been playing piano. I've been practicing some pieces. And that has really brought me some joy where I come home and it hasn't been as much about, okay, how many reps can I do? How heavy can I lift? Am I going up to the next set of weights? What I've been doing more and more is how do I set myself up to sleep well? How do I make sure that I'm managing the cortisol in my system? So some of that might be movement, some of it might be reading, some is music, some of it might even be puzzling, But the one tool that I often used for cortisol management was exercise, right? It was getting out and pounding the pavement, running, rowing, elliptical, lifting heavy weights, really getting my sweat on. And that is not as easy if I want to not experience pain.
Right.
So it's not that I can't do those things. Like I can do those, but when I do them, it hurts in the movement itself. And other things mean the next day or day and a half, I'm going to be hobbling around because it's just, that bone on bone is no joke.
Yeah.
So I've been finding other ways to do some of that cortisol management and some gentler movements to try and still keep my muscles strong and stretched. And actually, I'm giggling a little bit because even this weekend, my doctor gave me a list of stretches I should be doing for my hip, and I haven't been doing them. Maybe I should admit that. Well, okay. I hadn't been doing them.
There you go.
I hadn't been doing them. And then I did them, I think it was twice last week. I did them once since I've been home on vacation this week. But I told you yesterday, I go, these are just boring. I'm like, distract me.
Yeah.
I don't like sitting in a stretch for 30 seconds. It's so boring. My brain is just like, this is boring. It's not doing anything, but I know it is, right? My hip feels better today.
Yeah, I'm like, I put a YouTube video on when I'm doing it or something.
Yeah. But I honestly, I'm just like, this isn't enough. This isn't, it's not heavy enough. It's simple, gentle movements. Is it even going to build any muscle? And I'm like, well, I'm sure it'll do more than if you don't do anything.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really been challenging that part of me of this isn't enough or this is boring. Because that is not my flow.
Yeah. Well,
right.
That's like the biggest thing for me is realizing that when I'm hearing that voice in my head, that is simply a way for me to avoid doing the thing that I should be doing. Like, oh, it's not even enough, so I might as well not even do it. It's like, well, if you do the simple little things, it compounds and adds up. And like, I always feel better when I stop halfway through the day, get out of my chair, and I have the ability to go out and like get the foam roller, and I literally just roll around on the floor a little bit and just do a few stretches, 90s or whatever, and just a few different things. It's like, oh, I feel better. Duh.
Yeah.
But I know you're in a different situation and, like chronic pain, But you also you kind of did like a little test to see if it was better for you to work out in the evenings.
I did.
This like first half of the year, and I'm think it's maybe the outcome was you're like, I need to go back to doing this in the morning. Was that true?
That was. Yeah. So I was doing it in the evenings because I thought, well, I can sleep in a little bit longer. I can still get my journaling and my planning done for the day. I can make sure I have my lunch to bring with me. That's another part of my routine.
Mm-hmm.
Having a good breakfast before I leave for the day with protein and, fruit, veggies, whatever. I thought, gosh, I'll just save some time and put that in the evening. But I found when I got home, the last thing I wanted to do was to work out. Or if I did work out, then I wouldn't be eating supper until 7 o'clock. And if I didn't eat supper until 7 o'clock, then I'm like, well, should I even eat? Am I hungry enough to eat? And so then I just got in this weird habit where I was just kind of resentful about all of it. So I've been flipping that. And so then I've been saying, oh, okay, so music has been really a joy that I've rediscovered.
Yeah.
Which it's strange that I haven't played since I've been home this week, but maybe I'll do it here.
Yeah.
But it's a process, right? But I mean, I can practice for an hour or so, not even realize how much time's gone by. I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy trying to work out those runs and trying to get the notes back under my fingers. It's just a pleasure. It's really great. So I guess playing with that routine has helped me realize maybe where they best fit, but also maybe that it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Because I think originally I thought, oh, if I get the perfect routine, even though we talk about not having the perfect routine, there's a part of me that falls into that trap of, well, if I just tweak it in the way that's the right way, I think it's more important to figure out how to show up when you're not being perfect. And I think that's what I've been doing, even though it feels hard. I'm glad that I'm still showing up and figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, I think the taking the action and trying it is kind of the key takeaway, and the thing that like the testing and trying, instead of thinking about and like iterating in your head, it's like where I'll be right doing all the research and thinking of the optimizing.
Yeah.
Where it's a little easier to optimize if you just do the test and figure out like, oh, I don't like working out as much after work. I'd rather do it in the morning, or like for me, the dishes tend to pile up if I wait to do them in the evening. I'm like, well, they can wait until tomorrow, and then it's like, I started putting them at the beginning of the day and habit stacking it with like, this means I get to listen to a book, right? Like that kind of thing. And the reason I found that out is because I was putting it off. I'm like, well, don't waste your energy early. And I'm like, well, what I found out was my energy doesn't actually start to like peak until later afternoon. So don't put it off
until when you have your most energy.
When I have my energy and I actually want to do something, you know. So I thought it was kind of a similar thing, but like, we've talked about that before of don't waste your energy by allocating it to like suboptimal times for you. So that takes a little work to be, I don't know, honest with yourself, because you can optimize so much, but in the end, you just need to see if it works.
Yeah. So did you find when you were doing that was like a spot where you consistently felt kind of drained or tension? Like when you were say putting off dishes until the time when your creativity and your productivity is at its max, when you're putting something that is kind of routine?
Yeah, it's more resentful if I'm doing dishes before dinner or after dinner. I'm crabby because that's when I want to be winding down or doing something creative, or I'd rather be like, hey, let's like, because like the 3 or 4 plates can sit after dinner. That's okay. They're not piling up because there was a clean sink. I liked that more. Or since the dishwasher is like almost full from doing it in like the morning, like, cause I don't necessarily, I get up kind of earlier than I have. Like I've been waking up around 7-ish for the last year and a half or so.
Been getting up earlier than me this week.
Yeah. That's weird. That threw me for a loop. But it's just, I think it's just a simple way for me to check something off the list that kind of builds a little momentum. But it's also just a signal of like, I wake up early, but I don't eat early. And it's kind of like, well, let's do some dishes. You're in the kitchen. That means you're going to get some protein, eat something. And this kind of gets me moving along. And then the day just kind of seems to progress. And I just want to keep checking some things off the list then.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But yeah, finding the right time to do the things is the same with you. Like, enjoy playing piano in the evenings instead of like forcing yourself to do whatever's on the list that you got, you know?
That I want to try and knock it out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was finding that a few things that were really kind of getting in my way and really consistently zapping my energy or my ability to be consistent, just my own self-talk. And I don't know if you ever find that, but just that kind of judge that wants me to be perfect and execute the exact way that it was planned, really thinking about how can I take that voice of the critic, that is not helpful, to be like, oh, you didn't do this. That's, and how do you turn it more into a cheerleader? Because that critic, that I will say that has been a hard piece, especially when I don't feel like I can do things I used to do pain-free. Because it even gets to the point where it's like, well, if you were doing this before, and you hit this road bump, it wouldn't be as hard. And I'm like, well, that's not a helpful thought. So how can I instead figure out how do I support myself and keep moving forward, even if that step is small?
Especially when it's something that's maybe a complex process or maybe a little unknown to me. Just I find myself delaying and waiting, and like maybe and maybe sometimes it's like, oh, I'll go do this thing that I know how to do,
right?
And I'll put that other thing off. I caught myself doing it for, I think, I had to change the strings on my classical, and I'm like, oh, I haven't done this in years, because it's classical. They can just kind of sit on there, and like, but they were getting kind of gross because the kids have been playing them, and I'm just like, oh, it's going to be a process. And I was just putting it off. And all of a sudden I realized, like, just put one new string on, or like get the old strings off. At least the strings will be off. Like, so something like that, where I think it's because when I think of like a task or like a task that has multiple steps, I go from, okay, I know when the task is done, because like, oh, this is what the finished product is going to be, or the finished result. But then my brain goes into thinking of every single step that goes into it. And then I think I get a little overwhelmed, like not with like guitar strings, but like maybe like imagine like cleaning out our basement, right? I like
Sorry. That was like a big sigh, like
the end result is a nice clean basement, right? Like family room, like this area, that area. But then when like that, and that idea feels so good. And then you're sitting in your chair and you're like, all right, I should probably go start that, right? And I'm just like, I think I'm going to think about starting for a while, because the first step is what? Like, what's the first thing you pick up and clean kind of thing? It's like, it can get a little overwhelming. So making myself find that tiny little first step.
Yeah.
It could, it's like putting a pencil back in like the little pencil holder or something, then it's like, ooh, momentum. So it's silly, but it's true, I think. It's finding that little way to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, So it sounds like our words, our intentions for this year are moving a little bit, right? It feels like, if I'm understanding from you, I feel like you're saying that you're like measured ambition. You've been working on it and trying not to get too far one way or another. So you're kind of playing with it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing kind of the same thing with transform, where I thought it was going to be one thing, and I'm realizing it's something else. And it really shifted throughout the year, but not into something that isn't aligned with my word, just different than what I expected. If we're looking forward, so we have 6 more months left in 2026. What are some meaningful things? 3 meaningful things, just meaningful things that could happen between now and then that really would make you feel like, yeah, I really leaned into that word and that intention.
Yeah. Okay. So, so one thing I wrote down that I think you'll relate with is I want to be 20% closer to my health goals.
Okay.
And so, like, that's,
I like that you went percent too.
yeah, because that it's measurable, but it's also like not so daunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a little daunting, but an appropriate amount. What else did I write? I wrote a couple things down for that one. Spend more quality time with friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a priority for me, and it's the main thing that gave me energy. Was the amount of time I got to spend with you and the kids already this year, and also with friends,
Mm-hmm.
and a little parenthesis to that too is like making time for just for me, also like quality time for me to like recharge and like, because one thing I found I've done a little bit, which has like kind of maybe zapped some of my energy, is I haven't been as good with the reflecting and the processing, and it helps me schedule, but it's not so much about scheduling it. Like, it's just more about checking in with myself. I think that benefits not only me, but like the people I spend my time with, is like when I kind of understand what's going on versus like just going.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other thing is I want to make, I don't know if there's a percent, and I don't know if actually doing this for the project, but like maybe launching some version of a community space.
Okay.
That we've been talking about.
Yeah.
That feels doable, but also like I don't quite know what I'm doing. So it's like there's a running list in my head of all of the steps. And yet I know what some of the first steps are.
Yeah.
And so I can start doing some of those, just like I talked about. So yeah, there's, so there's like project work, there's relationship work, and then there's like health things.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy for me to like keep giving energy to play and stuff, because I think it's combined with all of those, like find little joys in whether it's learning for a project or just talking with people or even working out. Tennis is like part of my health journey, and like getting out on the courts. Like I even before we started, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I saw the video of myself. I'm like, oh, I have a little bit of a tan. It's about as tan as I've ever been. Like,
you've been outside
in the last like five years or so. But yeah. So those are a few of the things that I kind of want. I think I can put my energy into and be a little more ambitious. As long as I keep checking in with myself and the progress, and instead of like being nervous that I'm not doing enough, it's like, well, what did you actually do? And it's okay if it wasn't anything, because at least then I'm being real about it. So yeah. Well, what about you?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah, go for it.
Because now I'm like, what did I write?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one, I thought between now and the end of the year, if I could work on strengthening my body and mobility in my hip by the end of the year, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And so that might include replacement surgery. It might not include a replacement surgery yet. I'm not sure. But I think strength and flexibility and stretching, even if I think it's boring and it's not enough, I do think that that would be a helpful next step. Kind of changing my expectations a little bit around that. And maybe what I didn't say out loud is I'm realizing changing expectations from it's not enough, but I can't do what I think is enough, so I just won't do anything, is shifting from it's not enough and I have to find ways to become more comfortable with feeling like it's not enough and doing it anyway. Which is, it's a strange thing when you think, well, it's not enough, so I just won't do any of it.
Yeah. When you say that out loud, you're kind of like, okay, that's not the attitude. Like, we wouldn't let our kids have that attitude.
No, right? It's like, well, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I wrote down. The second was, I think it would feel good around my work with writing if I was to make some intentional time weekly to write. So once in a while, I'll do it in the evenings, but I don't have a routine set up. And on the weekends, we just kind of have full weekends. So I don't do a lot of writing, and even waking up earlier than me. And so I haven't been writing in the morning, because often if you were like sleeping in and I was up early, then I'd write. But I've been sleeping until 8 or 9.
I know. So like I wake up and I come out and I make myself coffee and I just sit and I'm like, this is what I'm used to. Most days during the week, I have me time for a couple hours when I wake up. But often when you're here, you're up at like 6 o'clock. I come out and you're just raring to go and you're like, chirp, 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 chirp. And I'm like, you're like, I made you coffee. I'm like, okay, but you got to wait until I drink a little bit. It's still really hot. Like, just give me a few minutes. Like, I'm still kind of like a little like woozy. Like I woke up from a nap in the car, kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
those are like, I just remember the kids being like all like tipsy, like when they were getting out of the car when they were little, like trying to pull them out of the car seat. They're just like,
yeah,
that's how I feel in the morning.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, what was your other thing?
No, but yeah, so some intentional time for writing. And then my third is to continue to transform time I have into more intentional activity. Finding time and saying, okay, I'm going to work on music. I'm going to work on puzzling. I'm going to relax and read. So trying to set myself up for the other parts of wellness that are important: sleep, hydration, and reducing stress in ways that I know how to reduce stress and enjoy. So I want to keep doing that and just really leaning into that, because it doesn't have to just be getting on an elliptical and living through the pain of it. So there's other ways that I can do it.
Yeah. I don't mean to like jump around. If like, I know you gave me like a few questions to think about.
Yeah.
But like, and I don't even remember exactly what the last one was, but what I wrote down was very close to what you just said, which is like getting strategic about my schedule. And I think sometimes when I talk about like scheduling and having like a regimen or discipline and stuff, like I know I need that, but I need that so that when I am not going so hard, I don't feel guilty for taking it easy. Right? They go together. And so it's like when I'm talking about like being patient with myself, it's like, not that I need to earn that, but it's like, it's so much easier for me to feel okay with it. I know I need to work. Like that means I need to work on it. Like it feels okay to have some calmness and like us to just sit on the deck and listen to birds when I have put some hours in and made progress on a project and I get to talk to you about it, or versus like, oh, well, what have you been up to? And I'm like, I got stuck, doing this and I did this. And then I was tired and a little depleted because it drained my energy. And then I didn't really work on the thing that we're both passionate about, and like my brain spins and like that. And it's like, I want it to spin upward. And just being strategic about my schedule, trying to wake up a little earlier has kind of set me up better.
Yeah.
And not staying up to all hours of the night where the time just kind of leaks away and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm doing something, but I'm really not. When I was going to bed at like 1:30, 2:00,
Mm-hmm.
nothing was helpful that I was doing after midnight probably. And I still stay up a little late sometimes, but anyway.
Yeah. So the question was on December 31st.
Mm.
What do I hope I'll thank my July self for doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Kind of
that
that
makes sense.
looking back and thinking
Yeah.
your previous self, your past
Yeah.
self.
And I think part of it is also like being strategic with my schedule, but also realizing that I can design most of my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And some people can't, like you. A lot of your
True.
schedule is not quite your own. And
That is true.
so and I've been there before where it's like my day is planned for me because these things all have to get done before work, after work. And that's what I signed up for and that's what I created.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do it. And now I have like kind of the pleasure of, okay, let's take advantage of the fact that I can create a lot of my schedule.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that one?
Sure. So I focused a lot on my hip and getting ready for a safe and healthy surgery.
Yeah.
So I think I will look back at July Laura and thank her for doing the stretching she thinks is boring, finding different ways to build strength as well that's doable, that doesn't cause pain or makes me feel like I can't walk the next day very easily. And somebody that is also looking at wellness not as just one metric, not just the scale. I'll say it like clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm poking around a little bit at it, but not just the scale, but also thinking about, am I sleeping? Am I hydrating? Is my body getting the nutrients that it needs? Is it getting the stretching and the movement that's going to help it be more comfortable? Yeah. So I think that all those things, those are going to be important for me over the next 6 months, specifically around that wellness transformation goal that I had. Like I said, it looks very different as I'm talking about it right now than it did conceptually. What was in my mind that I don't think I specifically talked about it, all the ins and outs of what I was hoping to accomplish and,
right.
Where I was going and how I was going to get there. But I am talking about it very differently and actually in a more kind and doable way.
Yeah.
And at first I thought, gosh, that's a huge, like I'm failing. It's like, oh, I'm definitely failing. And it's like, well, maybe it's not failing. Maybe I'm adjusting my expectations and instead making it work for me, right? Like champions adjust.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. What's going to keep you in the game the longest, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of this is coming down to framing for me. And it's not that I'm trying to let myself off the hook or hold myself accountable for what I thought I was going to do. I'm trying to look at this more as how can I continue to work through and make forward movement without throwing in the towel on everything that I've already done and worked through? Because we talk so much about how we learn through tension.
Yeah.
We learn when things are uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely uncomfortable, not just physically, but mentally.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable to feel like you're going down a path. You're not on track of where you thought you were going to be. You want to be more on track, but you also know that the normal things that you've called upon over your life that you've practiced and have worked are not at your disposal. They are not at your disposal the same way they used to be, right? And so one tool, I'm just going to share this, one tool that I've been using quite a bit through this journey has been ChatGPT and having conversations. Obviously, don't put anything personal in there that you don't want others to know exactly. But there's some really good ahas and insights. There's some things you can just be like, Chatty, no, that is not what I'm thinking. But even yesterday, you and I went out like late lunch and then kind of hung out. And what's interesting is just connecting the dots between the things that I was like, oh, I woke up today and I thought, all right, well, we ate out. We didn't make food at home. We had a couple beers and had a cocktail. Gosh, like
that's not helping me get to where I want to
right?
go. Or
is that going to help me?
Yeah.
And
the same thoughts too.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like true. Perfectionist Laura would say, bad Laura, that's a fail. Right? But it's one of those things where sometimes saying like you failed, that's heavy. Right? And it doesn't mean that you did exactly what your intentions were. Right? Like that isn't necessarily going to help me get to where I want to go. But there was something else I was looking for, right? I was enjoying connection with you. I was enjoying being out and with my hip feeling the way it feels. I don't always get to go and just hang out with people that understand it hurts, And so what I'm trying to say is ChatGPT helped me reframe that. And I think it does help either having a partner or somebody that knows you well that you can talk through this. But sometimes if you don't have that person with you, you can use some of these tools. So it even threw out to me, it said, instead of thinking about creating a list of failures, which I do very easily in my own head, I think a lot of people are really good at collecting what their failures are.
Yeah, we focus on the downsides versus like what is there to gain or what was good about that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So it said, instead of gathering the failures list, why don't you gather an adjustments list? And I was like, because that's right. Like I have adjusted, right? Like I could say I failed because I'm not doing squats every other day, that I'm not doing all these things. But I could also say, you know what, you're adjusting. So instead of that, you're doing this.
Right. Like just a slight shift in wording and like, okay, how can I adjust this? Like there were good things and not so good things with that. How do I adjust? Right. It's like, it's just a little, I don't know. You said something popped in my head, or you said something that made me think like, it's just kind of building your own framework. Right. And like these tools are helpful. There's lots of different tools. It's just like, none of them will work if you get so down on yourself that you just kind of throw them out the window when things get hard,
Right. Well, even my reluctance to thinking about, oh yeah, let's check in at 6 months. Because I had thrown it out and we had a episode kind of plan, just topic wise for quite a while.
Couple weeks.
Well, I was going to say it was longer than that probably. But to ignore it and just be like, nothing to see here, that's also not helpful.
Let's avoid.
Let's just avoid it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Most things don't get better if you avoid them.
Right. But I will say, taking the time to reflect a little and say, okay, so I might not be where I thought I was going to be. January Laura thought that I would be here in July. But that doesn't mean that July Laura can't do some great things. That's going to make December Laura pretty excited.
Yeah.
So I still got time.
Should we wrap it up?
I think we should.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
I love you too. No. Gotta tell me those things, honey.